And starting this video off with the worst free agency of this whole entire offseason, the San Francisco 49ers had a metric ton of quality losses, and they added Mac Jones. It was a 6-win team, and they did not do anything. Obviously, they have still a bunch of depth and good players. The one thing that they did do right was the draft, and I liked what they did. I mean, they had a ton of picks. 3 in the 7th, 2 in the 5th, 2 in the 4th, 2 in the 3rd, and then obviously the 1 in the 2. And I like what they did. I think they just got a lot of depth pieces. There are going to be starters and potentially Pro Bowlers in this draft class, and I think, the 49ers are a team that's going to make that happen. But with an F grade for free agency and an A- draft class, this leaves the 49ers at a C for the total offseason grade. Now for the Atlanta Falcons, who for their free agency was bad. They added 1, maybe 2 good players, and they lost a ton of good guys. And their draft, it was, honestly, I liked it. I feel like, again, they just could have done better, but I do definitely like taking the 2 edges in the first round. That was a big need for them with Jalen Walker and James Pierce Jr., and then 2 safeties next with Xavier Watson and Billy Bowman. But there's still holes that need to be fixed, like center and other places. Their draft was pretty much as good as they could have done with the picks that they had, and I think it's a step in the right direction, but it's not like a whole leap or anything. So I think overall for the offseason, I'll do C. Next we have the Pittsburgh Steelers with a total of C+. This was due to their terrible free agency with some good signings, but really not that many. And they did lose a ton of quality pieces, such as, of course, Najee Harris, Russell Wilson, Justin Fields, George Pickens, and quite a few old linemen, and just their refusal to accept any other option besides Aaron Rodgers by adding Mason Rudolph and Will Howard in, the 6th or 4th round or something. I like trading for DK Metcalf. He's good, but he doesn't have anybody to throw him the ball, so it's not really going to work out too well, I don't think, at least immediately. But with a terrible free agency, and honestly, the draft, it wasn't bad. They could have done more everywhere. I really like the Jack Sawyer pickup, but they just could have done more at every single selection, pretty much. Derek Harmon, you should have picked a quarterback. But I think B+ for their draft, I think, makes sense. Good selections, but I feel like they could have done better at most of them. I think B+ makes sense, and that evens out to a C+ for the Steelers on the whole offseason. Next up, we got the Minnesota Vikings, who I gave a C for free agency. They did have good gains, but they did definitely lose some good players. And of course, they lost Sam Darnold for no reason. They just got rid of their quarterback, who gave them 14 wins, a playoff appearance on a rebuilding team that realistically should have had maybe 7 or 8 wins, and he took them to 14. Vikings, stupid. They made a bunch of good decisions outside of Sam Darnold, but they're completely banking on an incredibly unproven rookie who was out for a whole year. Essentially didn't really get to develop that much for a whole year because he was hurt. Vikings are dumb, and they really didn't have the best of drafts. I gave them a B-. Some of their pickups, Donovan Jackson, I think that's good. They definitely lost some guys in the offensive line. I like that pickup. But other than that, they only had 5 picks, and they didn't do too much with them. I think Ty Felton was a good pick in the 3rd round. Not that great of an offseason, and that's why I'm giving them a final grade of C+. Now for the Carolina Panthers, who for their free agency, I ended up giving them a C+. But I'd say a higher C+. They didn't gain a ton of great guys, but they did lose a decent amount of good players. And then for the draft, I gave them a B-. It was, I feel like they just could have done better everywhere. I really like Teteroa McMillan, but I think a tight end like Jalen Warren, or maybe even Colston Loveland probably would have been a better pickup there. But I still like Teteroa, and a good solid target for Bryce Young. It wasn't bad, but I think B-, even B. I wouldn't be mad at B-. But their final offseason grade, I'm going to give them a B-. Now for the Cincinnati Bengals, they had a C+ free agency. Overall it was alright, but they have a lot of contract situations with, obviously, Trey Hendrickson. That's a whole mess. And their draft was, it was fine. Obviously, Shamar Stewart is kind of telling Trey Hendrickson that they don't really want him there anymore, and I mean, I don't know, maybe it's to compliment him, but drafting an edge when you're having a contract whole situation with an edge is, you know, that's interesting. But I do like Shamar Stewart. I think it's a good pick. But I mean, they didn't do like too much else with the rest of their draft. I think it was all right, but I think B- for the draft leaves the Bengals at C+. And now finally to the B-, we have the Los Angeles Rams. For the free agency, they had a C+. I mean, not too many losses and not too many gains. And I mean, both of them pretty much evened out in overall talent, I'd say. So generally the right things. Obviously, like Devontae Adams for Cooper Kupp, you know, that type of stuff. That was pretty much the whole vibe of their free agency. And then for the draft, I gave them a B+. Obviously, they didn't have a first-round pick because they traded it, but they did get another first-rounder out of it, which I think is smart. B+ for the Rams evens out to a B- for the total offseason grade. Now, for the Miami Dolphins, they got a C+ for free agency. They did lose a decent amount of guys, but they also signed, you know, decent players to replace them. It wasn't really anything special, and it's not really moving them anywhere into playoff Super Bowl contention, I should say. They did have a pretty good draft, I'd say. Kenneth Grant in the first round, I really like that one. And then an offensive lineman, another D tackle. And, I mean, they just met needs and depth pieces. I mean, there's not much else I could say. Quinn Ewers, that's pretty interesting to take there, but it'll probably be a solid backup at least. And overall, I think it was a good draft. I mean, honestly, usually for like a base good draft where you meet needs, it'll be a B+-ish. And that's what I gave the Dolphins, and they're going to be evening it out to a B- for the total offseason grade. Now the Saints had quite an offseason. I would have given their free agency a B- because they did have a few good signings and really not bad losses at all. But of course, Derek Carr retired, and I mean that pretty much brought it down. Obviously, the Saints can't really do too much about that, but you lose your starting quarterback, even if he wasn't great. You don't have really anybody else behind him. They did draft their guy in the second round, Tyler Shuck. I think they could have done better in terms of talent, but he's by far the most pro-ready. He was at Oregon when Justin Herbert was there. Like, this guy is experienced as hell. Obviously, injuries are a concern. So that's why you draft Calvin Banks before him. You know, you got your offensive lineman to protect him. And I really like Tyler Shuck. I think he's good. If there were to be one successful quarterback immediately, like this year, I would choose Tyler Shuck. Because, I mean, he's just the most pro-ready. A lot of these other guys are a little bit more raw, and I like his talent anyway. B- for the draft, because I feel like they could have done better. There were better people around at Calvin Banks' spot, and yeah, it wasn't bad. I'll do B- for the total offseason grades. Now for the Commanders, they had a B- offseason. They had a ton of great signings overall. Obviously, like Deebo Samuel, trading for Laramie Tunsil, and others as well. But they did lose a good amount of quality pieces, which I think brings it down to a B-. And their draft was pretty similar, just average, essentially. I will say that their free agency was more like lateral movements, because they lost a lot, gained a lot. But obviously, their draft, they gained more. Josh Connerly, that's a good pick there, but they already do have 2 starting tackles, so it's a future pick, which is always good to do. So overall, it could be B-, B. I'll do B-, but B, I wouldn't be mad about a B for a total offseason grade for the Commanders. And now for the Buccaneers, pretty much the only thing they did this entire offseason was re-sign people. They gained absolutely nothing. Hassan Reddick was like the biggest, so yeah. I mean, they didn't lose too much, so it will be just a C grade, but they did all. I mean, they re-signed a couple guys, but they just didn't do anything. And their draft was very interesting, I will say that. I think selecting Emeka Egbuka was definitely a decision. I don't know if I like him going to Tampa Bay. I mean, they have old receivers that are still really good, so I guess it's not bad. But I feel like they could have done better at places that they needed. But I don't know. They have more needs, and I mean, I guess they addressed them a little bit further in the draft, but I'll do B for the draft, which brings it out to a total of a B-. offseason grade for the Buccaneers. Now for the Detroit Lions, I described this one in my previous video as reloading and refueling because, I mean, they definitely had some not, like, great losses, but they definitely replaced them pretty well with, like, Avonte Maddox, DJ Reed. And obviously, that's what happens in the draft, where I'd give them probably, like, a B. I guess Tyleek Williams, like, that's a fine pick in my opinion. It was alright overall. I'll go B for the Lions offseason. B for the draft, and then B minus for the total offseason. And now for the Jacksonville Jaguars. Free agency, C minus is what I'll say. They definitely had good signings. They beefed up the defensive backfield a little bit, but they lost pieces everywhere. And I don't know. I don't think it was great. Obviously, like Evan Ingram, a bunch of receivers, Andre Cisco, more stuff like that. They replaced him not that well as well. But then the draft class was very good in my opinion. I'm going A minus for the Jags draft class. Obviously, Travis Hunter, cannot wait to see what they do with him. I mean, he was the best receiver and probably one of, if not the best corners in this draft class. I mean, he is incredible, and I really like trading up for him. I think that was more than worth it. And it addressed a need at 2 positions, which does not happen. They did have a pretty good amount of picks, 2 7s, 2 6, 2 4s, and 2 3rds. So, I mean, they just got a ton of guys that are going to be replacements, going to be backups. There's going to be starters all throughout this draft class, and I really like what they did with it. So A minus for the draft class, but obviously with the bad free agency, it'll be a B minus for the total offseason grade for the Jaguars. Now the Houston Texans. C minus. It was similar to the Jaguars for the free agency and the draft. For the free agency, they had a couple good signings, but they definitely got significantly worse on the O-line, and obviously lost Stephon Diggs. But then for the draft, I mean, they addressed their needs. They got a wide receiver, Jaden Higgins, out of Iowa State. I really like Jaden Higgins. I think he's going to be really well. Yeah, I think he's going to be really good. And then they got another Iowa State receiver, Jalen Noel, later. And then they got an offensive lineman, Ariante Ursay. And, I mean, I think they just did really, really good addressing their needs and drafting good players to replace the guys that they lost. So it'll be A minus for the draft class, putting the Texans at a B minus for the total offseason. Now for the Cowgirls, I mean, it was an alright free agency. I'd say C. They added some good players, but they lost some good players. And obviously, the whole George Pickens thing, very questionable there. Everybody has this receiver core all of a sudden at top 3 when we're just ignoring the fact that it's George Pickens that they traded for. But now their draft was actually pretty good. Originally, when I saw Tyler Booker, offensive guard from Alabama, go to the Cowboys, as an Eagles fan, I'm going to be honest, I laughed. Because I felt they just had more needs. I do like picking up Jaden Blue. They addressed a lot of needs, and they did it well with some good players. Unfortunately, it was a good draft class. I'm going to give them an A minus, which sucks, but they do still have a B minus overall offseason. And now for the New Jersey Jets. As for the free agency, I mean, it was all right. I gave them a B. They lost pretty much about the same as they gained, but they gained a lot of players that had potential. Obviously, the major one, Justin Fields. I really, really like that pickup. I mean, as I said, Steelers are stupid as all hell to let go of him. And I don't know, man. I think, obviously, it's the Jets, so he's probably not going to win anything. But I think it's good. You know, it's better than Aaron Rodgers. I really like Justin Fields, especially picking up Armand Membo. I think if he can be good, he's going to be really, really good for the Jets. But I could totally see him being a bust. But still, I like it a lot. I like picking up Mason Taylor. And they just made a lot of good decisions in the draft. For the draft, I'll do B+. So overall, I think it was a B offseason by the Jets. I think they got better. And now for the Green Bay Packers for their free agency, I gave them a C+. They definitely lost a little bit more than they gained, but they didn't really lose or gain too much. Nate Hobbs was the biggest out of like 3 major guys. But their draft class, I really like. I'm giving their draft class an A-. Obviously, Matthew Golden, absolutely love that pick. I think, oh my god, I mean, hopefully, I could see him not working out. I mean, recent drafted Packers receivers, besides like Jaden Reed, have had a lot of issues, but I really like Matthew Golden. I really like where he was picked. I think it was a great moment, and it would only make it better if he would become like a Pro Bowler in 2 years, right? That would be awesome. I think he's put in a really good position, and I like it. And obviously they keep beefing up the offensive line with, as I said, Aaron Banks, and then drafting Anthony Belton out of NC State. And then they got another receiver. Like, the Packers are doing a lot of good things. This is how they win in years past. They draft well. Don't usually do too much in free agency. They draft well, and that's exactly what they did this year. So it'll be a B, but I really like what the Packers are doing. And now for the Cleveland Browns. Their offseason was interesting. I'll give that C. I could see C-. I liked a lot of their signings, but again, Myles Garrett, I have opinions not on the guy, but on the decision to go against everything you said and just take more money. You're a millionaire, you don't need more money. You want to win, you want to have fun, but now you're not going to be able to do that. Man, I have a whole detailed rant on it on multiple videos at this point. But, I mean, on the overall free agency, wasn't great. Gonna be honest, was not great. But their draft class was, oh my god, I absolutely am in love with their draft class. I could see an A, but I think I'll probably go A- because of questionable decisions. First of all, obviously trading out of number 2. I always like trading down to get Mason Graham. I think he's gonna be really good. I like that pick a lot. Obviously not getting Travis Hunter. I mean, it's fine, but I think it's fine. I think it's totally fine. And then getting other quality guys, Quinshon Judkins. I think that he's going to quickly become the Nick Chubb replacement, with Nick Chubb not there anymore. Then Harold Fannin, one of the best college tight ends, I'm pretty sure, of all time. He had an insane amount of touchdowns at Bowling Green. I think he could be really, really good. I don't think David Njoku's going anywhere soon, but having a 1-2 punch of Fannin and Njoku, oh my god. And then, of course, they did draft another running back in Dylan Sampson. I like that pickup as well. I also did forget to mention Carson Schwessinger, a linebacker out of LSU. I like that. I don't know a lot about him, but I think it's a good pickup to get more linebacker depth. And then the quarterbacks. Like, why are you taking Dylan Gabriel? Because I really do not think that Dylan Gabriel is going to be better than Shedeur Sanders. I just don't think that's going to happen. Why draft both of them when you could just take Shedeur in the 5th round and spend a different pick on Dylan Gabriel? I think it humbles Shedeur, which is good, and it humbles Dion. But come on, guys, he was worth a round 1 pick. But yeah, great job, Browns. Love the draft class. Overall, the offseason, I'll give a B because of their free agency. But yeah, good job, Browns. Now for the Arizona Cardinals, I gave them a B- on the free agency. I mean, there was not too many bad losses and a couple better gains. But then their draft class was really good. I gave them an A-. I mean, I like Walter Nolan. I was hoping that he would fall to the Eagles. Obviously, I think I like Gion Campbell more, but that'll be in a second. But Walter Nolan, I really like him. He's undersized. But those undersized guys, they end up being good because they're just as talented. It's just the size, right? So, I don't know. I really like that pickup. And then Will Johnson, like, in injury concern, like, sure. But I think he was probably the most talented corner in this whole draft class, even ahead of Travis Hunter. I absolutely love them picking that up. It was at a massive need as well. And overall, the Cardinals had a great draft class. I'll give them B- for the free agency, A- for the draft. I'll go B total. And now for the Kansas City Chiefs, the defending AFC champions. I mean, for the free agency, they did lose a pretty good amount of good players, and they didn't sign like too many great replacements. But I mean, they're still young. They still have a lot of depth. They did have some good re-signings, but Josh Simmons, I really like that pick. I mean, just getting protection for the best quarterback, and then just a lot of depth pieces. These are going to be starters soon. So A- for the draft, B- for the free agency, B total for the Chiefs. And now for my Philadelphia Eagles, I gave them a C for the free agency. And this is what's going to happen when you're Super Bowl champions, when you're the best team in the league. You're going to have a lot of great players leave. That's why we have depth. That's why we won. We have a lot of good players that are behind a lot of the guys that left. But we still signed a bunch of really good guys, obviously, like Azeez Ojulari, Adoree Jackson, These are going to be starters, and I think they're going to be quality pieces to hopefully another championship team. And obviously the fantastic re-signings of Saquon, Lane Johnson, Zach Bond. Absolutely love them. Howie Roseman, I mean, it's difficult to have a good offseason when you're a Super Bowl champion. It's really difficult to do that, and that's why it's so impressive that the Chiefs made 3 straight Super Bowls. But this is how these teams stay good. The draft. Oh my fucking God. Howie Roseman, he can have my kids. He can have anything he wants. Make a statue. Make 15 statues, okay? I mean, and put them everywhere around the link, around Philly. How did we get Jihad Campbell, Andrew Makuba, Ty Robinson, and a ton of other good... I don't know. I don't know, man. It's luck to a certain extent. Other teams being stupid, and Howie Roseman being Howie Mother-Lovin' Rosen. I was fully expecting Jihad Campbell to go like 15. He went 31 to the Super Bowl champions. That's not supposed to happen. I could go on and on and on about how much I love this draft class. There are going to be quality pieces. There are going to be Pro Bowlers in this draft class, and I really cannot wait for it. We replaced the guys we lost very well, and we got younger, and we're hopefully going back to back. That's the goal. But overall, C for agency, A draft, B. And now for the Tennessee Titans. Let's start in the free agency. C plus. I mean, they lost a good amount of players, especially at linebacker. They lost some good guys. But overall, they had some good signings. But obviously, the draft is where they did really well. Cam Ward, obviously. I mean, I don't think they're going to be going wrong with Cam Ward. Obviously, the last few number 1 overall selections weren't great because they went to bad teams with bad offensive line. And the Titans don't necessarily have like the best offensive line, but they made improvements in free agency, and I think he's going to be good. I don't know how good he'll be early in his career, but I think it was a good selection. They made a ton of guys, like, you know, Chimmer Dyke. I don't know how to say that. Alec Aomaner. I like that. Just a lot of good pieces to help a young quarterback on the defense and on the offense. So, A for the draft for them. I could see an A-, but I think they did well. But along with their C+ for agency, I'll do B for their overall offseason grade. Now for the Los Angeles Chargers, I mean, it was a fine offseason, I guess, overall, because they did have some really good games. I would say that they had some slightly worse losses. I mean, gaining guys like Dante Jackson, Najee Harris, and more. Again, if you want more details, I'm skimming past the offseason. I'm just giving general thoughts. If you want to see the total free agency grades, check out the other videos. But these are just my overall thoughts on these. This is more about the draft. And the Chargers did really well in the draft. I'm going to give them a B+ for the draft. I think Omarion Hampton, I do really like the idea of teams getting like two, maybe even 3 good running backs. I think that's important. With injuries, anything could happen, and these guys are going to get tired. But when you already have a good starting running back, do you really need to be taking another starting running back in the first round? Omarion Hampton, he's good. I like him a lot. But, like, I don't know. Especially when you just had a breakout season by J.K. Dobbins and let him go for no reason. Questionable decisions. But I still like Omarion Hampton. I think it's a good pick. But they did do really well in other parts of the draft. Trey Harris, I like that. Wide receiver. Overall, I think they did pretty well. And I'll go, let's just say B+ for the draft, B for free agency, and B+ total. I could see a B, but I like B+ for the Chargers. Next up, the Broncos, who were consistent all the way through. B+ for their free agency. They really did not lose a lot, but they added a ton of very quality players. You know, obviously, Talanoa Hufanga, Dre Greenlaw, Evan Ingram, bunch of guys like that. They definitely still had holes going into the draft, which is always going to happen, but they filled them pretty well. I really like Jahdae Barron going for their first round pick. Picking a running back, RJ Harvey, I think that's really good. I love that a lot for him. And then just other guys that are going to be good. 2 edges, a punter, that was really important. Hopefully Jeremy Crushaw is going to be good. And then Pat Bryant as well. I think they did fantastic in the draft. And overall, they were consistent. B plus overall, B plus for both of the other grades. Good job, Broncos. And a team that did pretty much, I mean, they got the same grade. B plus at every single point. Starting with free agency, really wasn't bad at all. They had some good moves. Obviously, Joey Bosa, they didn't lose too much. I think they replaced him well. And for where they are as a team, I like what they did. But their draft was really good. Maxwell Harrison, cornerback, fast as hell. Absolutely love that pick. TJ Sanders, D-tackle, love that one. Landon Jackson, they went all defense for the first 5 rounds, and I like every single one of their picks. And I don't know. I think Bills did what they needed to do. They are trying to get past Patrick Mahomes, and you do that by drafting defense when you already have a pretty good offense. So B plus all around, every single point. Good job, Bills. Now for the Raiders. Originally, I thought that they had a bit of a better free agency. I'd say B minus. They lost a shitload of players, especially like a ton of great defensive guys, multiple good linebackers, and they didn't really have as many replacements. But I definitely like their high quality signings overall. Obviously, the big one, Geno Smith. I think it's a very, very good idea to get Geno Smith in. I like it a lot. Hopefully, Pete Carroll will be able to do good there. I think he will, honestly. And I also think that they did really, really well in the draft. I give him an A. Getting Ashton Jeanty. I know people are pretty split on Jeanty going to the Raiders and Jeanty overall. And, I mean, drafting a running back that high, right? It's an interesting thing. But I think he's more than worth it. I think he's absolutely fantastic. There's totally a world where he's not going to work out. You know, he's on the Raiders. You know, they don't have the best offensive line. But I still think he's going to be really, really good. I really like it. Jack Beck, I really like that pickup as well. But just a receiver. Raiders need receivers, and I think they did well there. And just getting more depth, bunch of good guys overall. Corners, linemen, wide receivers, D linemen. Fantastic job. And I think they did very, very well in the draft. That's an A for their draft. Maybe not great for agency. I could see a B, but I'm going B plus for the Raiders overall. Now we are getting into the best of the best. All of the teams that scored an A minus or above, starting with the Chicago Bears. And I give them an A minus for their free agency. They did what they needed to do to build around Caleb Williams. Obviously, Joe Thuney, the big one. Love that pickup. But, I mean, they should have done this before they got their quarterback. They have their quarterback now, so they're doing it as early as they can. I think they're good. I really like their offensive line build. I think they're doing well. And then for their draft, Colston Loveland, why do you not just take the better tight end? Like, I guess they probably saw something that they liked more, but the better tight end was right in front of you, and you took the worst one. I mean, we're just going to have to wait and see how that works out. I think taking a tight end like that is good. I think they took the wrong one, but again, we don't know who's going to be the right one until the season starts. But then taking Luther Burden, I really like that one. Just more players and threats for Caleb Williams to go to. And then an offensive lineman. Like, they filled out multiple receivers and then an offensive lineman. Like, I really like where the Bears are headed. B plus for their draft. I'll do A minus total. Now for the Baltimore Ravens, I gave them a B minus for their free agency. I mean, they did what they needed to do again. But then the draft, I gave it A plus. One of my 2 A pluses given out, and oh my god, it was so good. Love Malachi Starks. I think he should have gone way higher. Like, that's just an easy Pro Bowler for the Ravens to just pick up, just like that. Mike Green, love that pickup. A good pass rusher, just fantastic. Overall, good job. I mean, they just had a ton. I mean, they got a ton. They had so many 6th-round picks. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4. Is that 5? They had 5 6th-round picks. They made every single one of them worth it. Tyler Loop, hopefully he's going to be a good Justin Tucker replacement. I mean, oh my god. I'm absolutely in love with this draft class, and I think it's one of the better ones. A plus for them, and then A minus overall for total offseason grades. Then for the Colts, which I think they did really, really well overall. They lost a good amount of players. Then they had great signings, obviously, in the defensive backfield with Strawberries Ward and others like Corey Ballantyne and some other guys. The draft was pretty good. Tyler Warren, steal. Bears should have chosen, but that's a total steal. That should be a starter for them for a long time. Getting JT, I'm not trying to say that last name, an edge out of Ohio State. I like that a lot. And some other guys just beefing up everywhere that they lost. And it's as simple as that. I'm going to give them an A-. I could see a B+, but I'm going A- for the Colts. I really like their signings overall. And now to really the best of the best. We are still an A-, but starting out with the Giants. I did a B+ for their free agency. They added a bunch of great guys, and they didn't really lose too much. But they are definitely doing the right thing for a young quarterback. Speaking of that young quarterback, their draft, oh my god. Another draft that I unfortunately am in absolutely love with. They did exactly what the Texans did a couple years ago, getting their defensive player for a decade in Abdul Carter, and then you get your quarterback in the first round. Jackson Dart, I don't know, he's a weird one. I think everybody really likes him. I don't know if he's gonna be that great. I don't know how much I like him. I think they could have done better with like Jalen Milroe or obviously Shedeur Sanders, but clearly the Giants liked something about him more than the others. And then unfortunately they got Cam Scatabo. I love Cam Scatabo. Like, they really took Abdul Carter and Cam Scatabo, two guys that I absolutely love. And now I'm going to have to hate him because they're on the Giants now. It sucks, but it was a really good draft class by the Giants. I'm doing A, overall A- for the total offseason grade. But now for the two best offseasons, the two teams that got an A for the overall offseason, and one of them who even got an A+ for free agency. And that team was the New England Patriots. They really did not lose anybody. They made so many quality signings. I mean, we're talking Milton Williams, Stephon Diggs, Robert Spillane, and so many more. Just completely redid their defense. And then their draft class was really good. I give them an A-. I think they did what they needed to do with some good players. Will Campbell, I mean, how can you not love a guy when he says something like this?
I'm going to fight and die to protect them with everything I got.
Like, I mean, I think he's going to be so good. I could totally see a world where he's a bust, but when you're talking like that, and you're with that type of accent, like, are you going to be a bust? You're not going to be a bust. Like, this is going to be a cornerstone, I think, for the Patriots for a long time. Trayvon Henderson, I think that was a really good pick. I didn't know him as much as, obviously, Quinshon Judkins. But then other guys like Kyle Williams, a wide receiver, I think they just did overall a really good job at getting depth, getting guys that are going to be starters at some point in their career. And I think they did a fantastic job at doing that. A overall with an A+ for agency and an A- draft. But now with the team who potentially had the best free agency, the Seattle Seahawks. Starting with free agency, I give it an A-, humble A-. They really did not lose anything, and they replaced any losses that they did have more than successfully, while completely shifting how their offense looks. Obviously, trading DK Metcalf probably is going to end up being a good decision for him. Obviously, JSN is now the all-time starter. Getting offensive line, getting defensive guys. And then Sam Darnold. Like, this offseason was probably like a B+, and then getting Sam Darnold easily A-. Like, oh my god. They completely changed everything. I think they did it super successfully. I think they're easily a playoff contender now, especially with this draft class, where they got Gray Zabel. I really like Gray Zabel, offensive guard out of North Dakota State. Fantastic pick at pick number 18. I think they got great value there. And then Nick Emonwari, I think that's how you say it. I was waiting for him to get picked. I really like him. Just more good players that are going to be good starters, or even rotational guys back in the backfield, defensive backfield. And then getting Jalen Milroe. I think he has definitely potential to be the best quarterback out of this draft class, because he's going to be sitting behind Sam Darnold for maybe even 2 years, and I think he should, because Sam Darnold is better, obviously, for at least the foreseeable future. But I really like Jalen Milroe. Seahawks are set up really well to develop him to really whatever they want. Fantastic job by the Seattle Seahawks. If you want my full details on all of free agency, go check it out on these two videos. I did one for the AFC, one for the NFC. And thank you for sticking around. Thank you for all of the love I've been getting on the Eagles video recently. It's been awesome. I'm making another one, and I think it'll be pretty fun. And thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time. See ya.